Hello, good morning, everyone. It's another wonderful Wednesday here at the Real Estate Rockstars. My name is Justin Nimergood, and today we have a wonderful guest joining us, Miss Alexandra Dotcheva, who is a real estate investor, options trader, holistic confidence coach, and registered nurse. Just a little bit about Alexandra before we turn it over to her. She was born into a musician's family in Bulgaria. She came to the US to graduate as a student in 2000 and earned a Doctor of Musical Arts in Violin Performance from Louisiana State University in 2007. In 2008, prompted by the financial crisis, she decided to pursue a career in nursing and has been practicing as an RN since 2011 with a strong passion for educating patients on acquiring optimal health. Her experience includes ICU, orthopedic trauma, and home care. In 2014, she began her investing career with a focus on rental real estate and later on options trading. She is the owner of 3 real estate businesses and a holistic coaching business. Her passion for health, martial arts, fitness, and financial independence, as well as her experience with the challenges of cultural integration, prompted her to write the book, It Really Is Simple, a holistic approach to self confidence, in which she shares her path to success in an effort to motivate readers to embrace change and pursue their dreams in spite of fear and insecurity. Without further ado, let's welcome Alexandra Dotcheva to the stage. Welcome, Alexandra.
Thank you so much for having me, Justin. Good morning. Such a pleasure to be here.
Good morning to you too. So we obviously had a little bit of a pre-discussion and was fascinating to find out all the different lines of business that you're in. You really are what I would call a multipreneur or certainly a serial entrepreneur at the least. Um, you know, if you wouldn't mind, just share with our listeners out there a little bit more about yourself, right? Maybe something that's unique that not too many people even really know.
Oh, thank you. Sure. Well, the whole thing with the confidence actually is my big deal because I was a highly unconfident person. And when people started asking all these questions, how did you turn from a very insecure individual to, a self-made, rich, wealthy person in a foreign country? I told them, it was really because I
Mhm.
wasn't a very good musician in spite of the doctoral degree and the 29 years I spent with music. It was a very limited mindset because I wasn't as competitive as I wanted to be. And I was very scared to pursue something new for a very long time until I finally got hit by the financial crisis and orchestras
Uh,
started bankrupting left and right in the United States. And there was no more, not facing reality. And then I put myself to nursing school. And when I saw that I was very good at studying new stuff and learning and persevering through that, and then in 2014, when I came to the real estate market and got fascinated with this tangible asset aspect of real
mhm.
estate, I realized I could do many, many other things that I thought I was meant to do for nearly 30 years as a musician. So the reason I pursued afterwards confidence coaching when the real estate businesses took off very nicely is because I
Mhm.
really wanted to help people understand that if I could do all these things, anybody else could, right? Depending how
Absolutely.
motivated or how desperate you were to really change your life for the better.
That's wonderful. That's absolutely fascinating as well. And I think, or not even, I wish more people had your mindset out there, right? We'd be in a much different place. If you don't mind, just what do what are you seeing within real estate investment today? What do you see as the biggest challenge as a real estate investor today?
So the biggest challenge for one thing is to really get properly educated financially before you jump into real estate and avoid making mistakes that most people make. I was fortunate to come across the books of Robert Kiyosaki, in
Yep.
2012, 2013. I read 7 books of his before I took that leap of faith to purchase his online real estate course. And it was extremely helpful, Justin, because I had no clue about real estate. I had been a tenant in this country for 14 years straight before I purchased my first rental property. And it was a fourplex, okay, that I
Oh,
purchased to live in one of the apartments and rent the remaining 3. All right. So the things I notice is people jump in the real estate market when it's really the bad side of the cycle because, we have these bubbles with everything, including with real estate. So when people somehow, it's such as like with the stock market, people get a word of how awesome and profitable and great it is when it's at the peak as its price. So they buy these very expensive properties, and then the bubble bursts, of course, and you lose the value of the property, but your mortgage still remains, and then they desperately try to get out. I'll give you an example with my very first fourplex, which I still have proudly, which I bought for $200,000, right, in 2014, and that was already 7 years into the bubble because, the market burst between 2006 and 2008, right? So I purchased that property. And I have investors now in the same community, which is a community of fourplexes, buildings with 4 apartments each. They're trying to sell their properties at $800,000, $900,000 because they purchased them at $700,000. Like 2-3 years ago. And they were calling me and other long-term owners in the community, because there are quite a few of us trying to sell these properties for $900,000 to us, hoping that because it was the same community, we'll be, very attracted to the perspective of having more than 1 or 2 properties. And I told them no. So somebody was desperately trying to get out of it because you do these renovations and you think that you can sell, and the market's going to keep. So lack of education, lack of understanding of the pricing cycle of these markets and locations. And these are the main things. People jump into something they don't understand because they read something, they saw a short video, but they didn't really purchase coaching because they didn't want to spend the money to educate themselves first. That is the most dangerous thing, and not just in real estate. Any investing that you pursue on a serious basis, like long-term, you need to know what you're doing so you can manage the risks, because there is no good investment without risks.
Absolutely. And I really echo what you said about people being ill-informed and making, I'll call them hasty decisions, especially when it comes to real estate investing, buying high and, trying to sell even higher. And, the reality is the market goes through ebbs and flows. We see peaks and valleys, right? As a, long-term real estate advisor myself, I see this, and it's frustrating, but, like right now, working with all the clients that I am, especially on the sell side, they're expecting some big numbers, but a lot of them, I hate to say it, but they don't deserve it, right? You don't deserve a number because you think you deserve it. You deserve a number because the market will bear that, right?
Exactly, of course.
Free market economy here in the US anyway. So appreciate you kind of going over that. Now, you do quite a few different things. So, and put all your lines of business together. What's the most rewarding part of we'll call it your job, but of your businesses?
The ability to solve different problems that come to you uninvited, and the confidence that you build by solving each and every one of them, as unpleasant as they are, right? So especially when you're a beginner, it's very intimidating at first because you try to budget your best with business expenses, but you're always 2 steps behind the first 2-3 years. But if you don't give up, it's very rewarding because you get at the knack of the business and you master your first property. Then you go on to the next properties and the next properties, because with the profits that you eventually accumulate from this business in a couple years or 3 years, you're able to purchase more properties if you structure your long-term plan accordingly. So one important thing in business is you have to have a 10 to 15-year plan. You can't just go wing it by 1 or 2 years, because then you won't have a long-term purpose and you won't plan accordingly how to expand your business. Okay, so the people who really jump into these businesses for the most part, unfortunately, is those that hate their jobs so much that they're trying to get wealthy quicker so they can get out of a job that they hate. But that's really not how it works. Instead, I would advise these people, if you want to start your own business and you hate your job, first of all, find ways to not hate your job, but to learn from it. Things that you can apply then for your business, and learn financial discipline in the first place. So you either want to build a business or you want to buy luxury items early in your career, either or. But my advice is to buy the investments first and then let them pay for your luxury. So you learn how to be extremely financially disciplined, and there is a lot of self-accountability involved, which is very uncomfortable at times. All right. And I had the advantage because I came from a poor country and I knew how to save money. I knew how to be very frugal. But most people in this country, I hate to tell you, but they don't know that because they have so many things that I didn't have when I was a kid, or many of the other immigrants that come from poorer countries. So we know how to, immigrant, you go one or two directions. You see the luxury and the wonderfulness, and then you, like a person who's never seen that, you just buy everything expensive that you really don't need just to prove that you did something. But the other thing is the other part of immigration. If you are new to this country, you know how to save money. So if you learn to invest, you learn to expand, your wealth very quickly. I wasn't quick because I was a musician and I was clueless financially for so many years. But the businesses teach you really accountability, discipline, and most of all, integrity towards your clients. That is the most important part, actually, even before anything else, because if your clients, in my case, residents of the properties, if they realize that you treat them as people exactly as worthy of respect as you are, like when I bought the first property, the seller was an absentee owner. And when we entered his apartment, it was clear that he was treating them like dogs, okay, the tenants. So many things were unrepaired and extremely under, any standard. So you start treating the people that make your business, your clients, and with integrity and no compromises, okay? And then you can expect the same from them, and then your business thrives. But if you cave on your integrity and your self-discipline, that will immediately reflect on the way your clients treat you and regard you as an owner or a business person or the person that they give the money to live in your properties or any product that you offer, okay, in any business. And you will fail if you don't have integrity.
These are core character, values, principles, I would say necessary, just 100% necessary if you want to be successful in this world. People's senses are getting better and better, and they're really able to pick up on the bullshitters, I'll say, a little bit more and more easily nowadays. So you have to be not only act and operate with integrity, but I think it has to be coming from an authentic place, because they can also sense or feel that too. So I love that you tied that into your answer there. So Alexandra, tell us, we talked about the most rewarding part of your job. What's the most challenging part of your job?
Well, obviously, after the COVID crisis, everybody is using as an excuse the crisis to increase prices as far as maintenance costs, and with real estate, and same with healthcare, because I am a registered nurse and I see that all over across the board. The challenging part is to find other businesses that have the same integrity as you when you are sustaining your business, and obviously making repairs and improvements on properties. When it comes to real estate, healthcare is the same exact aspect, how you provide the best, least costly, but better quality care to patients. Everything is connected in that same way. And with the confidence business, again, pricing wise and advising people how to optimize their health and build perpetual wealth, because these are two of the 5 pillars I teach as a confidence coach. It also takes the time and consideration to teach people how to do this for themselves, because that is the highest form of self-advocacy. Is first of all to be treat your business with integrity, but also find the time to look for the people that you need for your business to thrive, that have the same integrity as you. And I find this very challenging sometimes, because when you have to fix something fast, when somebody else expects you to fix it, you don't always have the ability to find the best integrity person to help you with the problem, or sometimes they went out of business precisely because they had integrity. And that's very difficult to face sometimes, okay? But if you don't cave into that mindset, I think you will encourage more people to treat their businesses with integrity and not succumb to the greed and fear that they won't make it if they don't overcharge for their services and goods. That's what I do with my rents. I can pretty safely say that I have the most affordable housing in the Phoenix area right now. I'll give you an example, like 1,100 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. I rent for $1,200.
What?
Everything else in the area is $1,800, $1,900, $2,100. That's one example. I have a 4-bedroom with 2 bathrooms that I rent for $1,370 a month, when the other prices are above $2,000. And I won't even tell you about my apartments, which are significantly less expensive than the entire community that I have the fourplex, because I have the same tenants for 7, 8, 9 years. I don't increase the rents every year, but I increase minimally just so that I can really manage with the maintenance. But if you do structure your deal right, that's the third challenge with real estate, Justin, that I didn't mention, but it's great that we are at this point of the conversation, because when people don't structure their deals right from the start, to have the cash flow that they will be happy with for many, many years ahead, then they will have to increase the rents drastically with the change of the market. But if you actually start in the middle of your rental market in the area, that's what I like to do. I start in the middle of the market and never at the high end of the market, because I want to be competitive. So if the middle of the market works for me as far as monthly cash flow after mortgage, after everything, now I own most of my properties free of debt by now, but that wasn't the case when I started. So cash flow, in the middle of the market, and through the years you gravitate towards the lower end of the market. That's my principle. And it's always worked beautifully for me, right? So when I go to my tenants every other year to increase their rent by 25 or $50, say, they're like, oh, our neighbor next door is a tenant and his landlord increased his lease this year by $500. I'm like, what?
What? Yeah.
Right. That was during the COVID. And it was horrible, because not all the landlords had purchased properties at the bad side of the market. Not all of them needed to increase that, but they took advantage of the greed and the wave. Okay. So that's poor integrity.
Very, very, very poor.
That's not something that I do. And if you have the resistance to being unnecessarily greedy, you will do great in your business, in my humble opinion.
I totally agree with you. And you actually answered my next question, which was going to be, what's your favorite real estate investment strategy?
Yeah.
So, yeah, any more that you can expound on there for our listeners? I think that was really sound advice. Or maybe if there's another favorite investment strategy that you leverage.
So master one or two strategies really well, and don't get bored with them, because once it gets boring, that means you're really good at it. Don't change things drastically, because that can ruin your business. And I haven't done that, but I've learned from other people who have. Okay. So I can give you an example with my options trading. For example, I have never purchased an option in my life, but I've been trading options for 10 years. I only sell options. I sell insurance. That's Warren Buffett's favorite strategy. Sell puts on companies that you trust won't go under. Let the option expire worthless, and then if you happen to get it by assignment, the stock, then you sell calls on it all day long. They're not as profitable as selling puts, but these are the two strategies I've used for 10 years, and that helped us pay our 30-year house loan for 5.5 years.
Wow.
Okay, so that was the first property we paid off, and then I paid my investment properties one by one, using the same principle, combining all the income that I have from job, rentals, coaching business, and then options trading. But simple strategies. Nobody needs to overcomplicate things. Yes, you need to learn the complex strategies, just so you know they're there. And if you like to use them for fun, that's great. But as far as, because I'm a cash flow investor, okay, I don't care so much about capital gains at this point, because I love the cash flow. It's very consistent, and it really allows me to work or not to work as I please. I like to stay useful to society, but if the job gets to a point where it's completely unbearable, I can say, nice knowing you, goodbye, and move on with my life. So having these choices, simple strategies that you master on a consistent basis, is one of my favorite things to do. That requires patience. And since I was a very impatient individual for good portion of my life, like almost 30 years, learning patience for me is a constant endeavor. And the last 10 years, I've become much, much better at it. But I know I still have room for improvement. So that's another favorite part of the investment business for me.
Wow, you're very adept at several different skills, and just hearing you talk about investment strategy gets me excited, right? It gets me excited for myself, but probably more so for our listeners out there who are hearing this and really extracting the golden nuggets from you here today. We're going to actually pivot and switch gears for a couple minutes here and go into our final segment. It's going to be fun. I'm going to throw some zingers at you. So do your best to answer.
Okay.
as you see fit. But so the first one is this. Let's say it's your 80th birthday. Who is there? What's going on? Can you just paint the picture for us?
Who is there? Hopefully my boyfriend, because we're both
Okay.
health freaks. Okay,
Okay.
we've been. Hopefully he's there too. He will be 85. It's my 80th birthday. He's gonna be 85, so he better be there. um, and I mean, I am not a very social person, Justin. I'm not a people's person, believe it or not. So if I have the one person or two people that are truly like a best friend and my boyfriend, my best girlfriend, she's far away, but hopefully she is alive too because we're the same age. But you don't need much if you're an accomplished person. You don't need too many people in your life to really make you happy, because if you can make yourself happy every moment of your life, so long I have sun to look at, a garden to be there with my loved one, that's would be the best reward at 80.
Yeah. I like that philosophy. I live very similarly. I know a ton of people, and I am probably what some people would call social, but I only really let a small circle of people like in, at a very, very personal human level. So it sounds like we do share that in common, which I'm a big fan of. Listen, you don't need to look external from yourself for a
Well, I'm
lot of
glad I
it.
passed that question.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, next question. This is going to be fun. So imagine it's your last day on Earth. You can only preserve 3 items in your time capsule. What are those items and why?
Oh, never thought about that. Um,
I told you they were going to be
a
zingers,
lot of singers, yeah. I've told people if I die, I won't care. So I don't need to preserve anything in my capsule because I can't take it on the other side.
Well, I
Um,
guess maybe how do you want your legacy to be remembered? What 3 items would you like for your legacy to be remembered by?
are there objects or can they be spirit intangible
Yeah,
also?
it can, like, there's no construct. These questions are meant to have no construct. So
Okay.
you answer it as you see fit.
So the don't give up on yourself. If it seems hard, do it by all means so you can control fear by doing the things that you're afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
And don't listen to what your friends and loved ones say. If they tell you that you can't do it, that means you can do it. That's what I'll definitely. I've proven it many, many times. So that works. I'll take it with me in my capsule on the other end of the spectrum.
I know it's kind of a weird question, but it's a fun one, right? Like,
It
it's a
is.
fun one that makes you think, if nothing else. So here's the final question. This is much simpler, I promise. What is your definition of a real estate rock star?
Oh, well, a real estate rock star is somebody who can have few or many properties, that they're completely in control of their business. They are respected for a good
Mhm.
reason by their residents, clients, whatever you call them. And no matter what happens, you always come ahead of the game financially,
Mm.
legally, morally, and ethically.
Mm. That, I really appreciate you saying that at the very end, right? Because you can come on top financially pretty easy. There's a lot of ways to bend the law. There's a lot of ways to, you know, bamboozle people, as we
Yeah.
call it.
Mhm.
So I'm really glad that you emphasize that. So Alexandra, how can people find and connect with you?
I have a website. It's called holisticselfconfidence.com. It has everything about me, the blog, the book, the coaching page, ways to find me, social links, anything you need. Holisticselfconfidence.com. You know how to find me.
Wonderful. Alexander, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Awesome information for all our listeners out there. Hopefully you took some diligent notes. And that's episode 4 in the books for Real Estate Rockstars. We'll see you again next week, everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much for having me, Justin.
You're welcome.